Hello, it's Dave at VTR. Welcome back to the channel, and today this is the third and final part of the MEGO Batman restoration. I started this restoration of the four figures about a year ago, so it really is time I finish this project. And it's all down to The Batman, the movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I've told myself, finish these first, and then as a reward, you can go and watch The Batman. So let's crack on. Today's focus is to restore these MEGO bodies. In part 2, I restored all of their clothing. There's a link in the description below that shows you how I did this, and I'm really pleased with the result. Now, what do we need to do on these bodies? Let's take a look at the Penguin. This is actually a Type 2 body. You can see the bands there inside holding all the limbs on. Those bands are pretty robust, and these limbs are nice and tight. However, there is a glaring issue here. As you can see, he's missing his leg. Thankfully, I've got it here, so hopefully with a pin replacement, that should be restored quite easily. Now, let's take a look at Robin. As you can see, he's very loose. This is actually a Type 1 body. If you look inside, there is an elastic cord that holds all the limbs together, but this elastic has gone completely. It's pretty much like string now, and that's a common problem with these Type 1 bodies. So we'll need to restring Robin to bring him back to his former glory. Let's take a look at this Joker. This is actually a Type 2 body. You can see the bands there holding his legs together. But if we look on the back, there's a lever. This is actually a fist fighter. So as you move the lever, generally this body is in good shape. The only issue, there's some paint wear there on his hair. So hopefully I can match this green color and we can bring that back to life. And finally we have Batman himself. This is also a Type 2 body. There you can see the bands. Those bands are nice and tight. The problem we've got here is that someone has previously restored this figure. They fixed the knees by basically putting screws in there. So that looks pretty painful. It's also very embarrassing for Batman because his knees are very, very loose. And he hates going to the airport. Hopefully we can remove those and replace them with proper pins. For this restoration, I have purchased some spare parts from worldsgreatestsuperheroes.com. It's a pretty good site. I have some replacement pins for elbows and knees. I also have some of these replacement elastic cord for the Type 1 bodies. To be honest, you could probably buy a spool of this off of eBay for much, much cheaper. But this will do for now. Actually guys, what are you doing? I'm trying to be professional here. It looks like you've just spent the whole weekend at a stag do in Las Vegas. You look a wreck. Penguin, you're completely legless. Guys, I expect better of you. I'm trying to be professional here. I'm really sorry about that. Really sorry. And finally, I purchased some Type 2 bands. I don't think I'm going to need those for this restoration, but who knows in the future. Sort yourselves out, guys. Right, let's start with Penguin. This should be the easiest fix. Thankfully, there's already the female pin in there, so I should just be able to replace the leg and put the male pin in, and that should be job done. These pins are tiny. Oh. Right, let's try and put this on. Now I need to make sure this pin is pushed right in so it's secured properly, and I found the best way of doing that is with this, a tiny little clamp. And there we are, one fixed leg. Nicely done. Right, let's tackle this Robin. As you can see, he's very, very loose. But before I cut this cord, I believe this is the original cord from the factory. So while we're here, let's see how it was actually threaded through the body. You can see the two legs are directly connected. That cord is not going over the pin, which is a common wisdom these days. Let's look at the arms. Yeah, the arms are also directly connected across the body like so. Just look at the body itself. Yeah, so this is a very, very simple construction. The cord just goes around in a circular fashion like so. And there's a problem with that though. When you put these cords under tension, you will see that the legs do the splits. That's the natural tendency of those legs for these Type 1 bodies. It's a well-known problem. So I think, based on experience and what's on the internet, I'm going to thread it probably in a cross fashion, and I'll also make sure this cord goes over that peg as well. Let's see if that works. Okay, so before I tie this up, let me just show you what we've got here. So as you can see, the cord between the legs is going over the central pillar, and each leg is now connected to the opposite arm, and the arms are just connected across the shoulders there. So next step is to pull this really tight and tie a knot in the middle. And there we are, one restrung robin body. Now the legs are nowhere near as bad as before. That's pretty cool. However, I do think there's a problem. So I crossed over the cord between the legs and the arms, and it's basically causing the body to sort of twist like so. If I just untwist it like that, then the body sits much more naturally. So I am going to restring this. You live and learn. Oh, I've screwed up again. I didn't thread this cord back through the pelvis. Oh, so frustrating. Third attempt. Now that's much better. Legs are good, torso is on nice and fine. You can twist the body wherever you want and it stays there. Fantastic. Right, just need to put the head on and then we can crack on. Right, it's Batman's turn now. Let's fix these knees. Hopefully I can just remove these screws and then use the same technique as I did on Penguin to fix these joints. Ah, that's annoying. Can you see the pin is twisting with the screw? How am I going to do this? Okay, I've been wondering how to get past this challenge. I've thought of several ideas, but no, none of those are working. So this is what I'm going to try. I'm going to put a little drill through that pin, because that pin's going to be thrown away anyway. Drill into that pin, and then hopefully I can hold that drill whilst unscrewing the screw. Fingers crossed. Now, that was a challenge, but it's out. So what I did was drill a hole, then I've shoved in this drill bit, which has got a hexagonal end, and then using these pliers to hold on to that hexagonal end, along with the leg. And now when I unscrew, I should be forcing it against the piece that I've jammed in there, and then hopefully the screw will come out. Genius, even if I say so myself. Whew. And there we are, Batman's knees back to their former glory, and they're nice and stiff as well. I'm really pleased with that job. That was a tough one, but well worth it. Right, we're on the final stage now before we put the clothing back on, and that is just to do a little bit of paint touch up on Robin. Just need to touch up some of his hair. And it's the same story with Joker. Some of his green hair is worn away, and we just need to touch up some of the eyes as well. I've already mixed up the green paint for Joker. Hopefully I'm close there, and I've got some black there. So let's crack on. They didn't require too much touch up, but that has made a big difference. And I'm really pleased that I managed to colour match Joker's hair. That's awesome. Right, we're ready to put the heads back on and to reclothe them. Nearly there.
Hands off, you fool!
Here's all the clothing that I restored in part 2, looking rather splendid if I say so myself. There's only one thing to do. Now, it's been a year since I've seen this figure look like this, with clothing on and complete, and it looks fantastic. I will, once I've got all the figures dressed, compare them to how they were originally, but that is a huge difference. That's awesome. And finally, after almost a year, I get to see these Batman figures all dressed and fully restored. And they look fantastic. I'm so happy with how this restoration has turned out. If you go back to part 1 of this series, you'll see that I go through these figures, and yeah, they were, to be honest, in a bit of a mess. They absolutely stunk of smoke as well, ripped clothing. I'll see if I can get a photo or picture of them as they were when they first got them. Look at this. The Penguin. It's looking sharp. He's got his proper boots now. Once they've been restored, they just look so much better. And I'll be able to put these on display. There's the Joker, looking fantastic. Robin is just such a transformation. This figure was a mess. He was loose. The clothing was all over the place. There was a massive stain on his cape. That's all gone now. Look at that. I'm really happy with how Robin has turned out. And then of course your main man, your Batman. Here he is with his cape. It's looking sweet now. Look at that. I'm so happy. And I can go and see the Batman now, or at least wait until it's on streaming. Look at that. I'm going to put these on display with my other MEGO figures. Oops. There we go, Robin. Hope you've enjoyed this restoration, all 3 parts. Give me a like, comment, and as always, stay safe everyone, and cheers.
We don't really know where the world is gonna go. But now everybody knows that you can't stop for too long. Got to keep going, don't really know where the world is gonna go. But now everybody knows that you can't stop for too long. Got to keep going, don't